Up next is the Saskatchewan Roughriders, of course. They're holding training camp, which started on Sunday, and the big news was big number 97, John Chick, returning, and they needed that pass rusher to kind of fill in those spots. They lost Odell Willis and, of course, Brent Hawkins. Now they have the man that helped this team, was a Defensive Player of the Year back in 2009, back in the fold. Can he return? Despite the injuries and the knickknacks he's had with his knee, he says he's fine now. But can he return to the old John Chick we remember from 06 to 09? Or 07 to 09?
Well, you hope he will. Like, you look at it, and the player always progresses in his career, always gets better year after year as he gets more experience under his belt. The game's a little different, though, even for a defensive lineman. The game's a little different from the NFL to the CFL. I think the CFL is a little more stunts, a little more blitzing packages. You'll see the linebacker step up. You'll see the defensive back step up a little bit more than, say, the NFL. But I think Chick's going to be a very good addition.
I think more than anything, he's going to people are going to take notice of him, which might draw double coverage or guys more focusing on him, which will help his defensive line more than anything. I think other guys will get more of a chance to get at the quarterback because people are going to give him so much respect up there. But I think he'll do okay. You never know. Sometimes guys come back and
A little NFL hangover,
you think they're going to be unreal, and it doesn't quite work out. I know, like a guy like Ricky Williams is a bit of a different story, but when they come back from down south, it could go either way.
But do you guys feel that he can actually be that guy that the Riders need? They haven't really had an effective pass rush since both Chick and Stevie Beggs were the end rushers. So do you see him kind of returning to that 09 form, maybe leading the league in sacks, or at least getting to the quarterback, because that's been an issue for the Riders the last few seasons?
But the thing is, the defensive line in football, you just can't have one guy to make up that line. You have to have a big combination, and you have to have pressure from either side to make John Chick's job a little easier.
You got to think that Ricky Foley helps the defense too.
Definitely.
That's another big name that guys have to watch. I think they will be a lot more aggressive. I think you'll see a lot more sacks this year just with those names.
One guy who's always been electrifying was Chris Williams, especially last season for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He's in a contract dispute. He's still got a few years on his contract, but failed to report, saying he wants opportunities to go down to the NFL and try out, perhaps with an option, or make better pay. Ken Austin, of course, the new general manager and head coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, says, not so fast. You have to honor your contract before we actually proceed with a new one. He's still got a few seasons left. Does Chris Williams have the right or option to change things? His argument is that the agent he had was not certified by the CFL Players Association.
Whose fault is that, though? That's the player's fault.
But is this a loophole that he could still use to his advantage? Is it right?
No.
Does it work for anybody else in any other profession? Can you, if you have a contract, can you just say, "Oh, that wasn't right. We're just going to scratch that."
Sorry, I was dumb and I got an agent that isn't even not a proper agent. You know what? If he doesn't like his contract, sucks to be you.
Why didn't he sign it in the first place?
And the bad thing for him right now is that Ken Austin, just this new guy on the job, head coach and GM, and it's like the kid showing up to class, brand new teacher. Guess what? That teacher's going to make an example of that student. And Chris Williams is probably going to make an example.
But he's saying the team should have also known they were dealing with this guy. Is it due diligence on both parties? He had an agent, and sometimes agents are accredited to the NFL, not necessarily the CFL, right? So in this situation, he's saying, look, they should have known that this wasn't right when this deal was done, because I wanted opportunities to the NFL. And they got rid of that option type status, right? That you can't necessarily, or at least be brought back. So in his case, does he have a point? He might, although he should still report and maybe try to renegotiate something. I still feel that
I don't see how it's
the guy.
I don't see how it's the team's fault. This guy took a
but
pen,
they should have at least
signed it.
at least they should have been aware of it.
I just feel it's something he should have worried about when he signed the contract. You can't just
I think he's just kind of he's kind of trying to find some options.
You can't blame the guy, right? He played really well. He maybe deserves more money. He maybe deserves a chance in the NFL where he wants to go. But you can't blame him for wanting that jump. But you can't blame the team because he signed the contract.
Yeah, I think he's in a tough situation.
Well, battles between players and coaches, certainly that was the case in New York. John Tortorella fired. We were saying that there were reports on ESPN last week saying, you know what, he's going to keep his job. What does that mean to Brad Richards? He'll be ousted. However, it sounds like the brass general manager and vice president, Glenn Sather, heard from the other side, which was, of course, Henrik Lundqvist, your all-star goalie, Brad Richards, which I assume, well, A, they owe a lot of money to, and B, is friends with Sather, and, of course, Ryan Callahan, their captain. It seems like he's lost, and by he, I'm talking about John Tortorella, lost that group. Was his firing warranted?
Absolutely. I think it was.
Right.
You-
One
the
year
team
removed,
wasn't-
you're basically one game away from going to the Stanley Cup final, or 2 games away from the Stanley Cup final. You had a team that was the best team in the East, favored out of the East, had a heck of a year. This year they started slow but did pick it up. But did you feel his antics warranted
I
him to
think
be out?
change was necessary. I'm not saying it's just Tortorella's fault. I think there needed to be a change with a guy like Richards. And why do you think they got rid of Gabrick? Because those kind of players are players that like to be on their own, and they like to do what they do. And, you know, the coach maybe give them pointers. But Tortorella's the kind of guy who would call him out right on the bench in the middle of a game. And they didn't like that. They're the kind of guys that...
You know what? Torts is a guy that, well, he's not Mr. Personality, let's just say that. He rubs people the wrong way. But is it right for players to say, I don't want to play for him, get rid of him? I'm getting sick and tired of players coming up and saying, I don't want to play for this coach, get rid of him. So it's the players determining who's coaching them. I think that's a crock of you-know-what.
Sean Avery said it best. He ruined my NHL career.
Well, Sean
but
Avery
my
ruined his
business-
NHL career.
But his business career, but his life choices have been fantastic ever since. Because, hey, he's doing well as an advertiser. He's not from New York, but he has that mentality. He works
So
in
you're
the city,
saying
he should be
his
fine.
antics were Tortorella's fault?
Well, I'm not saying that, but
Because
I'm
that
saying
wasn't
he
just when
ruined
he
his
was in New
career.
York.
He ruined his
Yeah.
career, and potentially
That's-
he could be
Sean
going to other
Avery
guys.
has no one to
I'm
blame
not saying,
but
I'm
These
not
are
saying
prof-
he's a great guy.
These
but
are
I'm just saying.
professional athletes who
Yeah.
get up every day, get paid millions of dollars to do what they do best. I don't think it's like I'm agreeing
So
that it's
being a
not
healthy
Tortorella's
scratch
fault.
would be doing what they do best. If
Was
they
he
have-
doing? Was he playing well?
I'm not talking
was
about
he
Avery, I'm
helping
talking
the
about
team?
Brad Richards now.
Was Brad
Well,
Richards
Bob-
helping the team?
But do you have a guy like Brad Richards' talent sit in the stands, sit in the press box? I don't
That's
think so.
That's the reason why you hire that coach to make decisions like that. If Brad Richards is not helping his club, Brad Richards is a first or second line player. If he cannot play in the first and second line, you do not play him in the third and fourth, so thus he sits upstairs.
Hey, who do the Rangers replace him with now?
Well, he's not going anywhere.
Well-
now that Tortorella's gone, Brad Richards won't be going.
Okay,
anywhere.
he'll be staying, but
Yeah.
who do they replace as a head coach? Does Vigneault fill in?
Oh,
do they
as a
go
coach.
inside? Do they go with Gretzky or
I've
even
heard-
Messier? Those are rumors.
There's been a
that are
lot of
reported
rumors
they'd
that
be there.
Messier. You
Yeah.
know, he was a great leader on the ice. Maybe be a great leader as a coach.
And that's the thing is where he's never coached before. Like he's coached a little bit at the World
He's
Hockey
coached Spengler
Championships.
Cup and the World
Spengler
Hockey
Cup.
Championships. That still doesn't
That's
count,
a
right?
huge step. That's a huge step to being a head coach in the National Hockey League. Great leader, great player. Wayne Gretzky, great player.
Terrible coach.
Well, subpar coach on a subpar hockey team.
But yeah, when your entry level is not necessarily right at the NHL. Patrick Waugh spent 8 seasons. in
Yeah,
Quebec
exactly.
with the
You know,
Q,
it would be a
or in the
huge
Q.
risk.
I say Lindy Ruff is probably the best candidate for that job. Will he get it? There's going to be other teams probably after Lindy Ruff.
about Alain
Vancouver,
Vigneault?
Dallas, Alain Vigneault could be a good one there. But you can't go and get a guy like a Messier or a Gretzky for a position in the National Hockey like that doesn't have a whole lot of experience.
But
I
if
like
there's
what you
one
guys
guy-
are saying. However, I want to quickly.
I was just going to say, if there's one guy that maybe would make this move, it would be Glenn Sather. He's made some pretty bold moves
But-
in the
but
past.
why
And
is
that's,
it-
and that's the
but
sad thing. We're gonna. Have
I think
to,
Sather should have been fired. on
We're gonna
top
have to
of it,
stop
you know.
this really quick. I know we could get on topic and talk about this verbatim, but we got a commercial break. We got to pay the bills. Plus, we have over/under coming up in just a few moments.